This morning, we're continuing our Monitoring Men's Health segment as we enter into the heat of the summertime.
Yeah, we are raising awareness this morning about skin cancer. Now, the sun's ultraviolet rays is the main cause of most skin cancers, and actually sat down with the dermatologist at WashU to give us some insight.
Skin cancer is more common in men, probably because of environmental exposures that are just more common for men to experience, but also because men are just not as likely to get things treated early on average. So skin cancers tend to be a little more advanced when I take care of my male patients.
All right, so what does skin cancer look like, right? You see a mole, sometimes it gets larger, abnormal structure. The dermatologist says it's actually the most common on the head and the neck. So if you notice something, a rapid growth, change in colors, the area hurts to touch, you want to get that looked at. And if you do get skin cancer, the thing to note is it's very treatable, so don't freak out.
The majority of skin cancers, once they've been removed surgically and we know the margins are clear, we don't need to do anything else to treat it. However, patients that have had a skin cancer are at much higher risk compared to the normal population to just get more skin cancers.
And the other thing he mentioned that I thought was very interesting, I did not know this personally, is that skin cancer, if you've had an organ transplant, that you're at a greater risk of that. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that.
I've never heard that before either. And I wonder if that's just because your immune system probably isn't as strong as it was, with your original organs, and that might be the case. But, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, so I won't get into that. We'll let the doctor speak on that point.
Yeah, the thing that was very interesting about this point here is that he mentioned, as you heard him, the skin cancer, if you've had it, it tends to come back. But he also mentioned that men of color, sometimes you don't see the mole, or you don't notice the change in color because of the pigmentation being darker.
And something we don't talk about very often is patients that are immunosuppressed. So patients like organ transplant patients and then certain other diseases where your immune system doesn't function properly also are much greater increased risk of getting skin cancer.
And a lot of things are very popular in young people, like the tanning beds. That's like a new fad. Even the fact that some folks, like we mentioned, darker skinned people, just don't use sunscreen.
Right.
We think like, oh, I don't get sunscreen. It doesn't affect us.
I've got a story about that.
Okay.
When I was younger, went swimming as a kid and thought, yeah, no problem. Later that day, completely sunburned. Couldn't touch the skin, anything like that. So yeah, we are vulnerable to those things. And also, when it comes to the body and looking for the spots and things like this, it's probably a good idea that every once in a while, have somebody check out your back. Have somebody check out the areas of your body that you cannot see to make sure there isn't something going on behind you. And if you work outdoors, say it's just doing the gardening on the weekend and things like that, that's another time you're in that direct sunlight. That too could be a case where you could be exposed to so much sun ray that something bad could happen to you.
Well, and he also mentioned, and I did not know this either, I learned a lot in this, but that there's a sun protective shirt that you can find online, and you can wear it to the beach. Like, say, if you have really sensitive skin, you think, oh my gosh, I get burned every single time. It's a shirt you can purchase, and it basically blocks the UV rays.
Interesting.
So you don't have to put on sunscreen. You can just wear the shirt. So there are ways to protect yourself, and kind of, that sounds like a new fancy way now, because you just think sunscreen, boom, go. But I never thought you could wear a shirt that would block the rays as well.
But even if you wear sunscreen, you got to be sure to reapply it as well, because if you're out in the sun, you're going to probably sweat. You can sweat it off. If you're in the water, you can wash it off.
The right SPF too, because the higher SPF does a better job at blocking it. Some folks just like the 5 or the 10 because they want a good tan. And he mentioned that there is no good tan. That is a big myth. But of course, like I said, these things pop up in gyms and they make them very popular, especially for young people. But just keep in mind, it is summer. We want to protect ourselves and we want to stay healthy. It's all about living well, not just, maintaining.
Right. And the doctor brought up a great point right in the beginning, that men don't seek help early enough. Something's going on, you don't say anything, you go with it, till eventually it gets you to the point where I better go see somebody. And by that time, things have advanced. So if you see something, as we say something.
Absolutely.
Go see somebody and get it taken care of. Great chat. Great chat.